Good afternoon, and welcome to episode 7 of Sipping Tea with Stacey T. Really excited for today. I'm actually going to add my collaborator. Give them a second to join on. 7 is the number of completion, and I'm completely excited about today's episode. So look at this. Look at this face. So excited to have the one and the only CHRILUXEBEAUTY in the building.
Oh.
So we're just waiting for people to log on. But I'm beyond ecstatic for those of you who are makeup novices, for those of you who like playing around with makeup. She's going to be able to bring you through so much. We're going to have fun today talking about, the why of makeup and, a lot of why people don't wear it and potentially why people wear it and maybe don't wear it the best. um, and so we'll talk a little bit about all that. Hey, Selena, welcome. Hey, I'm like, who else is on here? Hey, Kathy. Good afternoon, Tiffany. Oh, look at the hearts already coming in. I love it. Hey, Cheryl. So really excited. For those of you who have never been on this platform, this is a new venture. This is the 7th episode. And I think a few weeks ago, I saw Christina and want to talk to her about, I get a lot of questions about makeup, and I love makeup, but it is not my ministry. Like, it is not my area. I would not call myself a makeup expert. I would call myself a makeup lover or enthusiast. And I get a lot of questions, and I have to say, one of the things I'm going to have her address today, which is why it's titled what it is, Makeup Art of Deception. I get a lot of guys who are like, man, women look like Decepticons. You look like and then you wipe your face off, and I'm like, who is this? Like, this is not the same person that I thought I was dating or going out with. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. As I get started with all of my episodes, I do have a tea that I'm going to be having today, and today's English breakfast tea by Twinings. This is like a safe tea. I didn't pick it. This is again, a family member all picks my tea, and they just pick it by going in a basket. They're not picking, to make me have an easy day. And this one is expertly blended for smooth classic tea taste. This is like the most easy. If you're not a tea drinker, this is the easiest one to try. So I'm going to steep that. And while I do, I'm going to leave it over to Miss CHRILUXEBEAUTY to introduce herself and maybe a little bit about her makeup journey.
Hi guys. So this is like out of my, I don't like to be in the front. I don't like it at all, but with doing makeup and being on social media, you kind of like get into character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you just kind of do it and everyone's like, "How did you do that?" And you're like, "I don't know." But I've been doing makeup since I was like I would say I was in my teens. I was always in dance school, so I had to learn how to do it for myself as being the only like colored one in like a dance class. They always used like the Barbie colors, and that wasn't gonna look good on me, and I didn't want to look like that on stage. So I just learned how to do it for myself by watching YouTube videos or different stuff on social media, and just kind of like learned what was good for me.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So the funny side story for Christina's prom, I did her makeup. So this is a total turnabout because let me tell you, just looking at her face and her application, her face is flawless, right? So you're able to see her application and how times have grown and changed. I might, if we can find a picture, I might put a picture of her makeup look then as opposed to what you're seeing today. Because again, I just loved playing with makeup. I had no clue what I was doing. She looked beautiful because she's beautiful, but again, very, very different time. So Christina, when you think of makeup in general, what do you think about it? Because I feel like there's going back to, and it's funny you mentioned being a young kid doing makeup. when you were doing it then, it was kind of a means to an end because you didn't want to look like a clown on stage because they didn't
Mhm.
really know how to do your makeup. But did you feel any pressure to wear makeup or to not wear makeup when you were younger?
Um, I didn't feel any pressure to wear makeup. My mom actually didn't wasn't into makeup or any of that stuff, so it wasn't like it was around our house.
Mhm.
But like as you saw on social media, you kind of saw like it wasn't huge when I was growing up, but seeing different people do it, you're just kind of like, "Oh, like that looks kind of cool." And
Mhm.
it to me like it kind of seemed like a way of creativity. Like
Mhm.
I can't draw to save my life, but like if you give me makeup, I could blend like there's no other. But it's just like that creative like outlet that you just don't realize until you start like doing it, and you're like, oh, like there's no rules. Like you can just do whatever you
Mhm.
want.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I think it's funny, and you had a very similar experience. I was looking back because I was raised in an all white area, only black girl, and I remember they had us. We did some play back in the day, and I was supposed to be a China doll, right? And so they put the makeup that they put on all the white kids' face on my face, and I looked blue. Like looking back, I literally looked like a full-on Smurf. And there's just and it's funny because I would say almost maybe the last 10 years has been a real push for like more diversity of colors, like real emphasis on it. I mean, obviously there's always been a little bit here and there. There was always like Revlon that would throw a couple of colors and Maybelline would throw a couple of colors, that type of thing. But then you have like Ariana that has Fenty Beauty that is like, I'm going to dedicate my time to making sure I'm getting all of, the colors on the rainbow, all of our beauty seen. And for people not to be like, well, I got to kind of make up my own makeup. Because for you, as I'm thinking about it, when you were younger, there was some things, but you probably still had to mix and match to get your right. Do you think that that's still a thing? Do people still need to mix and match? Is that better, or how do you
I
feel about
do
that?
think that you still need to mix and match. Like a lot of these brands, yes, they're starting to have a more wide range, but they're just having like a basic wide range. Like a lot of people have the undertones that they're not thinking about. Like me and my sister like wear similar colors, but a color that looks good on me might look chalky on her,
Mm-hmm.
and then she can't find her color, so then she has to mix the color below mine, the color above mine to try to even find a color for her. And I feel like it's like that with like a lot of brands, even like you said Fenty Beauty. I think yes, they started getting the wide range, but a lot of their tones are still like
Yep.
they need to work on it.
No, it's funny you say that because I mean I have a lot of, I have a lot of Fenty stuff or whatever, especially their highlighter. I love their highlighter. I would say probably more than most of the things. But even in that, sometimes I'm like, man, this is really making me look kind of crazy. So, and obviously, I think the other thing that people don't consider when they're thinking about their face and doing makeup is that your skin changes and your coloration changes throughout the year. Obviously, when we have darker skin, you go out in the winter time, you look paler, right? So this is like me trying to now come into my color. But obviously over the winter, and we hibernate up in the the
Yep.
northeast area. There's not a lot of, we're not getting a lot of sun rays. And then in the summer, people are like, oh, that's what you look like. And I'm like, yeah. And that means a whole new set of makeup because your makeup for the winter looks crazy. I mean, you could use, like, honestly, I could use my foundation for the winter as my concealer in the summer. It's that dramatic a change. Um, in high school, when you started wearing makeup, what did you like? What was your first thing that you were purchasing for makeup?
For me, it was mascara.
Mhm.
Everybody had mascara. Like, if your lashes weren't clumped together with mascara, then you were a nobody.
And
Could
it's
honestly be like the cheapest mascara ever. As long as your lashes were clumped together and you had the black on your eyelid, then you were it.
that is so funny because you're bringing back such memories. When I was in school, it was the blackest, thickest eyeliner. Like it was like you crazy. I mean, and underneath, I've actually stopped for a long time lining underneath. I've just started relining underneath my eyes just because of wrinkles and fine lines and the whole bit. It's trying to like stave off that as long as I potentially can. But that was a big thing, having like dark black eyes
Hmm.
underneath. And then to your point, like a ridiculous, I mean, I think people use like a tube of mascara in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. It was like you have to coat and you had to coat the bottom ones, and it didn't matter if you got it all over creation. There was
Yep.
no rhyme or reason. That's funny. Now, do you have a brand of mascara that you do like or that you use now?
Not really. A lot of them are either they're too clumpy or they run like after like an hour. So it just depends on if I'm gonna have my makeup on for a long time or I just need like a quick look. So I haven't really hit it with the mascara yet.
It's funny. I haven't either, and I actually stopped wearing it because I went through a period of time that I was what I was noticing is it was pulling my eyelashes out, and I was like,
Hmm.
what is going on? Because first of all, most people don't know, but I'm sure she does. I have to draw my eyebrows on because I have like literally next to no eyebrows, right? And so I was like, wait a minute, now it's pulling on my eyelashes. I can't deal with both things being gone. Like, what in the world? Is there a reason why you feel like that happens? Like, people's eyelashes get pulled out?
I think it has to do with like the product being built up on the spoolie because if you look at the spoolie when you first get it, they all have different textures and winds, and then the product gets built up, and then you're putting it on your lashes, and it's dry and clumpy, so then it's just yanking onto your lashes.
I was like, and there was one time I felt it. Let me tell you, if you've never felt an eyelash come out, that chunk is painful. I was like, what in the world is going on? So let's talk a little bit about. So I will tell you my first makeup, and I can't remember what it was, but I know it was cheap. It was like probably something like for 50 cents or 99 cents or whatever that I got. And I want to say that, and it was not a big thing in my house either. Like my mom definitely wore makeup, but it wasn't like a thing like every day you put the whole face on and all of that. I feel like for me, looking back, I definitely had an issue being the only black girl in my area. And I think that for me, I was like looking at all these other kids that were like doing the whole full makeup face. And my mom was not having that. Like, you are not going to, like, where are you going? You're not doing that. And so I definitely was like, and it wasn't like I was trying to hide it, but I was starting to wear like tinted lip gloss. Like that was my first like, so I mean, maybe that's not so bad because it's still lip gloss. And they still sell it like Wet and it was more than likely Wet and Wild. I'm not more than likely Wet and Wild. Are there what I would say is are there things that because being I think a young person trying to do your makeup for the first time, are there things or tips that you would give people before you even start like shellacking your skin? What is it that you would give as a tip for, somebody who's just starting out? And it could be some of the people that are on here now that are older, that are still trying to figure out makeup and how it really works and the application and all that. What advice would you give?
Well, I would say makeup, like I said earlier, it's a free range. There's no rules, there's no lines. You're not supposed to follow this to a T unless it says do not put this in a certain area, then you can honestly do whatever you want. So I would say just do what's best for you. Yes, you can follow like me online or other people online and see how they do their makeup, but some things that work for me might not work for you. So you have to kind of like play around with it. And if you do try something that I do and it doesn't work for you, don't get discouraged. That just means you have to find something else for you
Yeah.
to do that will be easier for you.
No, that's really good advice. I think getting discouraged is just easy because the first time I put on a full face, I looked like Bozo the Clown. I was like, oh, more rouge, more. I mean, my eyebrows were like so thick. And I was like, I had no idea that you could like, use concealer to cover. Like, I didn't know any of the tricks that I've seen people do. So yeah, I think that absolutely not getting discouraged. But one of the things that because I'm getting older, one of the things that I've been really thinking about is, the quality of my actual skin and managing my skin. What are your skin care tips because I've been watching you a lot lately, and some of the things you've been, talking about cleansing and exfoliating and all those things. Like, what is the 101 that people need to think about when caring for their skin before even thinking about makeup?
So I would say definitely get a good like face cleaner cleanser. And it doesn't have to be a high expensive thing as long as it's good and works for your skin. Like your base is like your holy grail. Once your base is good, then your makeup application will start to be smooth. And honestly, I don't even wear a lot of makeup for people like for what people think. They're like, "Oh, it's so flawless. Like you probably use all this stuff." And I'm like, "No, as long as you're cleaning your face and like taking care of it and moisturizing like before you do anything, moisturize your skin as well, then it will just be like chef's kiss."
Are there particular brands that you've tried and you're like, I've tried it because maybe I got an endorsement or something and it was great, but I've tried other ones and don't like spend your money on, Garnier at CVS as opposed to like going to, getting some crazy expensive brand and spending $50 because I think that's the issue a lot of people have.
Mhm.
Makeup is expensive, right? And you try all these brands and you get excited by, oh, this one is this and this one is that, or you see it on, in a magazine, and so you're like, okay, maybe if I want to look like this, I need to try this, which is the biggest fallacy because they use a whole bunch of stuff on these people. But
Mhm.
you know, are there specific brands that you feel are worth the amount of money that people might spend on them?
I would actually say that the Korean skincare is actually, I mean, a lot of people are kind of iffy about it because they're like, Korean skincare, you don't know what it says on the bottle,
Mhm.
all this stuff, but it actually is really, really good. If you look at like their skincare and you do your research on it, you notice that they're using like more natural stuff than what like L'Oreal or Garnier has in their products. A lot of those products that we see today are like full of like oils, like additive oils on top of the oil we're already trying to get rid of. So it's kind of like breaking us out, and then we don't know why we're breaking out, but it's because they're full of all these other things that they're trying to combat. But the Korean skincare, I would say definitely invest in some of it because it really works.
Do you have a specific? I mean, and obviously these are for those of you who are not following Christina yet. You'll be able to like go to her pages and see some of the suggested products because I'm sure she has lots of products that she's used and again, obviously everybody's skin is different, so you're gonna have to try out
Mhm.
what works for you. But you can use some of her advice of products that maybe really dried up her skin or because again, I remember I tried a brand that will remain nameless but begins with an S as a cleanser a gazillion years ago. Now, obviously, people take over, products do change because you have a new set of chemists and all that working on stuff. But when I say I broke out, my skin was horrific, and it was a cleanser, right? It broke out my whole family. Right? So I was like, oh, not using this again. But again, you really just don't know until you do try things. I think there's a fear. I think there's a natural fear of trying something and having it, break your skin out. My skin is, excuse me, my skin is really dry, and but it's combination. So I have like oily situation here. I get dryness here. Around around my nose specifically, and then sometimes right here. And so that has been an issue because even when you get things for combination skin, I'm like, who's combination? What is the combination that you're talking about? Now, I want to get into the deception portion of why people feel like that. Which I'm sure you can, you probably heard people say similar things where people are like, man, you think that this is what a person looks like. And then and I've seen it, my gosh, you see people with, and it doesn't, for me, it doesn't look like they have a ton of makeup on. They take off that thing with a wet wipe or a wipe and you're like, what in the world was that? Like, how in the world did you do that? Why do you feel like, especially, I mean, you're a married woman, but in the dating world, why do you feel like, some men might feel like, it's deceitful to wear makeup? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that some men might think that way because, I mean, they see all the products that we're using and they think, oh, they're using all of those at one time, when you might not even be, you might use three of them, but they see all of that and they're just like, whoa, that's a lot. Like, compared to their just one face moisturizer, if they put on the face moisturizer. So I think they just see it and they get overwhelmed and they're like, is this what you really look like? Or, you know? And then I also think that some women do put on a lot and they think that that's what they're supposed to like if if they have all these highlighters that they're like, sometimes they think they're supposed to put all of those highlighters on at the same time. And you might not need all of that. You only might need half of one.
Exactly. No, that's true. I think that is absolutely true. I will say, and this is a fair assessment, contouring can absolutely make you look like a Decepticon. And I love a contour. Let me just tell you right now, my face is contoured right now. So I do love, a contour, but I feel like that in itself, for a lot of people, they go crazy with a contour.
Hmm.
I mean, I've never seen so much. I mean, the contour stick here and here and here and here and on the chin and on the forehead. And it can, and even I saw somebody recently doing on the sides of the forehead and then they blended it. And I'm like, it makes your forehead smaller. Going on? Why are we over contouring? I have to ask that. What is that about? And I love a contour. So don't
Honestly,
get me started.
I think it's because like they see the celebrities do it. I don't even contour. Like
Mhm.
I have a natural,
Yeah,
just even when I don't wear makeup, it's
I just
naturally contoured here, and I
love
just
to.
use like bronzer. People are always like, "Oh, you don't have like a." This one is Glow by Revolution,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's in the shade medium. This is my go-to, and this
Oh,
is
I love
literally all
that.
I ever use. And they're
Really?
always like, "Why don't you ever use contour?" And I'm like, I don't need it, and I don't like it. It makes people look too muddy, I think, and it's a lot.
Now, do you put that what you're just the bronzer here too, or do you put okay? So you put that here instead
Yes,
of using actual contouring. Gotcha. Okay.
and I feel like
No,
the powder you can control it a little bit more.
yeah. No, I agree. So they may try to compete with others. You're right. I think a lot of the reason why people are doing makeup the way that they're doing it is because of that. But to Christina's point, man, if you watch celebrities do their makeup, I remember one time I was watching it and oh my gosh, that is a lot of product. That in my head, I'm thinking, how much do you go through in a week? Or because they're doing their makeup multiple times a day sometimes,
Mhm.
right? Because God forbid they go out for a Starbucks in the morning and then have the same look at lunch when they go to lunch and then the same one at dinner. So they're using that over and over and over again. And the amount of contouring product was alarming. And then I have to ask you this because I don't understand it. And so this for me is a huge issue. Baking. What is that? What is baking? Why are we doing it? Or should we be doing it? What does it do to your skin? And what product are you using when people are saying baking something?
So when people are baking, they're taking powder and literally putting so much on that it's like a white film, not
Mm-hmm.
film, but like white under your eyes, and they keep it there for like, say they put that on in the beginning of them doing their makeup, and they'll keep it there until they're almost done their makeup. So then it creates like a white cast, which when you take pictures or if you're like on social media, you have that white cast even after you're done
Mm-hmm.
baking. I don't see the point of it. I don't like it because like I said, I take pictures, so I don't like that whiteness. But I do use setting powder because that's what they pretty much use, and I always get it in translucent, and I always dust it right off. As soon as I put it on, I dust it right off because I don't want that white cast. I don't get why they do that. Like, I don't know why you want triangle white under your eyes. Like, I don't
I know.
know.
I don't. I honestly don't either. But I was like, man, so many people are doing it. Am I not doing something right by not using this product? Because it is. I mean, people are like, oh, I got to bake again. I'm like, wait a minute. You already did it at the beginning. You wiped it off and you're going to do it again? And then they spray their face for like 10,000 hours to set it. And I'm like, oh my word, this is a lot. And I have used setting. I get it, all that. But like the baking thing was something that I just did not understand. And yeah, people like to look how it looks with a filter. This is the other thing, right? Social media filters give you makeup. So that's the other thing. A lot of times people are looking at, these women online and they're like, oh my gosh, I love her eyeshadow or I love her. And I'm like, guys, I was on Snapchat. That's not my eyeshadow. That was whatever filter Snapchat had in the moment. And I love Snapchat. So I will consistently use it. But yeah, they look like a ghost. Yes, they do look like a ghost with all that setting powder. It is a lot. So Tiffany's asking, what is the spray for?
Setting spray is to like keep your makeup locked in so it doesn't move or go anywhere and it kind of all blends in together. I use setting spray throughout my whole makeup process. I'm kind of
Oh,
addicted to setting
I
spray.
never thought about that.
I use it in the beginning and then like in the middle after I put on powders, I'll put it on because it kind of starts to melt in
Mm.
the powder and not give it that like cakey look, and then I use it again at the end.
So when you say at the beginning, before you put anything on, or you like to as like a
So
application?
like
Or
after I put on like my foundation and my
okay.
concealer, I'll put on setting spray and then I'll blend it out. And
Mm.
then I'll put like my powders on and then I'll use it again to like melt in the powders, the residue of the powder, because I don't bake, like I said. And then I'll let it all blend in and then I do it again at the end.
Oh, okay. Now this is a question, specifically a Stacey question. I am a sweater. I'm constantly sweating, right? And then with these lovely adornments, I sweat more, right? So what is your advice for the setting spray and or because I find that, obviously if you've ever got setting spray in your eye, you know what I'm
Hmm.
talking about, right? But obviously if you're sweating, it's running. So what are your tips as far as keeping makeup as long as possible if you're a sweater?
I would say I would say start to use hairspray. Like get
Mm,
like a cheap version, not like too cheap, just a good version that will work for you and use setting spray. They actually use it in like movies or some of the other top like MUAs use it and it will just literally stick your makeup as long as you can get through that little sticky cast at first when you
mhm,
first put it on because it's hairspray, you're good.
yeah. See? I'm learning a trick. That's always been frustrating. This is me like constantly like wiping my foundation into my hairline because I'm sweating and I don't want it to run down, so I'm like wiping it into my hair. So that's a fantastic tip. We have another question and it says, what would you recommend for ones who have allergies that would like to wear makeup kind of to start off? Are there brands that people should really be thinking about that you feel like are really because let me just tell you, I feel like all these brands say hyperallergenic and they are not. Because I've
Hmm.
definitely tried some and I'm like, why are my eyes itchy? Like instantly itchy. I'm like rubbing my eyes. I'm like, oh, gotta take this off. It's not working for me. So are there any particular things that people should start off with or avoid, and brands that you think?
Um, I don't know any specific brands, like you said, like they all say they're hypoallergenic or vegan, but then you're kind of like questioning their packaging and stuff. So I haven't really found a good brand that's like that. But I would definitely say don't start off with stuff like around your eyes. If your eyes are what affects you, then don't go for an eyeliner for your first thing. If foundation, if like your skin is sensitive, don't do like a thick foundation. Maybe get like a CC cream or a BB cream or a tinted moisturizer. That's also what that would be instead of going for like a foundation. And then kind of slowly build up that way.
Okay. I need to try that. My makeup lasts for me for 2 minutes. Yes, that is Cheryl saying that because literally, and this is bad. So I'm about to tell you something that's bad. So don't yell at me, Christina. I could fall asleep with my full makeup on and wake up with my full makeup on again. I know, right? But she literally could go out of the house and then it's gone. She's like, what? Like, what happened? So, are there things that somebody that does like put on makeup and then it's gone right away? Are there applications that may help different ways of applying the makeup or things that people should think about?
That's when like your different steps before your makeup really goes into play. Like your moisturizer, maybe you'll need like an one type of moisturizer for something and then another type of moisturizer for the other thing, so using them together. And then your primers, those are big into play. I use two. I use the elf power grip one, which is really really good if you want your makeup to stay on. Like that one is really really good. And then I started using the
And that's for your talking about for your eyeshadow,
for everything, your
for
whole
every
entire
whole face primer.
everything. Oh, it's right here. I started using the Laura Mercier primer on top of my e.l.f. one. So
Mhm.
this one is a little bit more moisturizing than the e.l.f. is very like sticky
Mhm.
padding. So I use both of these
Which
together.
one you put
Just
on first?
this one
Oh,
will go on first, and then you'll put the e.l.f. on.
so
Um,
that's good. And I've heard you mention Laura Mercier several times. Is that a favorite brand of yours?
um, it's an
Or
okay
preferred scent?
brand. I just like when I first started doing makeup, I would always hear about this brand,
Mhm.
and I just started being able to like try it out, and I was like, the hype of it. You're kind of just paying for the name, but they're okay.
Yeah. I've heard that's funny because I've heard the same thing. People were like, "Oh, Laura Mercier, Laura Mer," because I would hear it all the time when I was listening to the makeup thing, and haven't purchased it because I just didn't really see it when I was going anywhere, anyways. Um, and then I've heard people say, "Oh, it's good for this,"
Hmm.
like this one particular thing, but not like people are like, "Oh, I love it as an entire brand." Now, a lot of the women on here, I believe, are women of color. Are there specific brands that are not good for women of color skin? And obviously, all skin is quite different, but I find that there are some brands that are just, I mean, they just literally don't look good on our skin. Like, they just don't. Are there particular brands that, you would say are really expensive and just be mindful that you're going to pay for it just to try it and you may not be that excited?
Sadly, I would say a lot of the like L'Oreal or like the drugstore brands like that, they don't really like they might have a color or two that are in like the darker shades,
Mhm.
and if they do have those colors in the darker shades, then they're either ashy or cakey. Like it's like the texture is different in that one compared to like the same brand in a different color. So, and they're more expensive at the store. Like you would think at Walmart it would be like $7 because it's Walmart, but it's like $12 and $15, and it's like a little tube, and it doesn't even look good on us at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. It's been funny because I find that a lot of the brands, when they try to get darker colors, like go so dark that you're like, there's three people that look like. It's like, come on. Like we have a wide range of beautiful, all the from the lightest light all the way to the deep melanin. But like, it's like they're just trying to show we're so inclusive, and it's like, okay, come on, do work on this range right here. Like,
Hmm.
instead of like doing that. And I've had a lot of negative a lot of negative because I'm like, okay, even for me, I yes, go to the mall free testers, absolutely. But I've had a lot where I'm like, okay, this is clearly too dark for me, but I'm gonna try it out because it'll probably be, great for, whatever. Like I could use it for something. And when I try it, I'm like, I look great. I look sick. Like, what in the world were they thinking when they came up with, whatever formula this was? And to be spending sometimes 30 something dollars on one item, that's not it. Like,
Hmm.
we're not just like throwing money at, I mean, if you get an endorsement and somebody wants to, like, hey, try this out, cool. That's fine. That's one thing. But to be spending money on these things, and it's not like, and this is my other question: is any makeup returnable?
I'm not sure.
Because my
I don't think
God,
I've ever.
$30 and you're like, this is horrible.
Usually, if I get something and it doesn't work for me, I'm always like, oh, well, if I ever do somebody's makeup, I'll keep this aside. Just, I guess I'll build my kit with my returns.
No, you're absolutely right. That would make sense. That would absolutely make sense for you. But I was just thinking about that. I'm like, it's annoying to spend. I mean, most other things you can return, but I feel like it would feel weird. But at the same time, man, if I'm spending $30 on a highlighter and it makes me look like Bubbles, the clown, I want to be able to give it back to you because I don't want like give me something else. Give me something else. So I'm just gonna part of what I talk about in my sipping tea is related to my why, like why I do things. I remember kind of feeling because, as I mentioned, growing up where I was and there was nobody that looked like me, feeling that I really just wanted to look attractive, right? And I all the way through high school never thought I was a pretty person. College, I was like, when people were like interested, I was like, what is this? I don't understand how to deal with this type of a thing. But I remember like wanting to look like specific, people. And I remember like sometimes seeing the magazines, and there was like three black women in magazines back then. It was like Beverly Johnson, Tyra Banks, and Naomi Campbell. And then every once in a while, you would see like a few other women that that were women of color, or black women specifically, because they didn't really even have Asian women or Latinas or any of that type of stuff back then in magazines. But for me, it was really, I think when I started wearing makeup, for me, and it's funny that you talked about the creativity of it. I felt like I was able to control how I felt about myself. And it was like one of those things where I was like putting it on, and not that I needed to have it on because I more often than not didn't wear it. I was in college, I was broke, right? So it's not like I could just go out and spend tons of money on makeup. But I remember it like almost at first, I feel like it was a shield, right? Like this is my persona, this is who I am. Kind of how you said this is not your area where you like talking and being in the front. I felt like that's what makeup did for me. Do you think that that is a fair assessment of some of the people you might have done makeup for? That you can see that they shift once they have the face on. And what is that? What do you think that that is?
I do definitely think it's a confidence booster. I've seen it a lot. I'll say like, "Oh, she's starting to feel it. She's starting to feel it." Once all the pieces are coming together, because they might not feel good about themselves, and then they put on the makeup, and it's kind of like a character change, and they just start to feel good and comfortable and forget everything else.
Yeah. I think that that's a good thing, but I also wonder if that's part of why men are saying that women are like Decepticons. Because like, it's literally like, yeah, I got this boss look on right now. I'm doing my thing. And then you're like, you wipe it off and then your hair goes up. And you put your sweats back on, and then they're like, wait a minute, how did I just, where did she go? Can you get her back? But I wonder if that's a part of why people may feel that way, thinking that for me, again, it's an art. I think of, and I'm going to talk to you in a minute about trends, but I think, that it's an art. And I think it's amazing that people can take a brush and literally, and I think that it being a brush is apropos to showing you it is indeed art.
Mhm.
Like you can sculpt your face, you can put on a character, you can literally change the color of your skin. We're not going to get into that. You can literally, because we're not doing blackface conversation, but I mean, you could literally do that. It's amazing what can happen with those types of things. And I've watched like those art competitions, the makeup competitions on TV and just been amazed with what people can do with just makeup. Not even like the people that know how to put on the prostheses and all that stuff, but it's amazing. Now, along the same line, there's a lot of trends, a ton of trends. And I've seen you do some, and I was like, when you're like, okay, they're trying this. Let me see what it looks like. And sometimes they've been epic fails, right? You're like, this, I don't like. And then sometimes you're like, okay, this is not bad. One of the ones that and I have to ask about this one because I feel like this is where I'm showing my age. But there's this one that everybody now just draws the one line of color. What is that? Like, where did that come from? Um,
Like the one line of color, like
on the
where?
eyelid. It's
Like in their
almost like
crease
a
line?
yes, yes.
Oh
So
yes.
I noticed that came, and it was like everybody was doing it. I had no idea where it came from, and I was like, should I be doing that? I don't know how to. Am I too old to do that? And I think that's also another question is, people will ask a lot, am I aging out of certain trends? And I don't do a lot of the trends, to be honest with you, because I just don't. Not that I'm opposed to it, but I just don't. Because I do a basic, more than anything, I change my eyeshadow because I just like playing with eyeshadows. But where did that come from, or where do you see that? Like, who's influencing these trends? Is it just influencers? Where is it coming from?
A lot of times it's just influencers like playing around, but also some things are like things that artists did like back in the day that are kind of making a comeback, or even actual like artists, like paint artists when they were painting like people's actual face. Some people liked the way that they were doing the eye shape, so then they try to everyone's eye shape is different, so then they would try to like recreate it on their own, and then it just became a trend of people putting the color there. And for aging out, honestly, and this is just my opinion, I would say rock whatever you're confident with, because, as I'm also getting older, I'm like, ugh, am I still allowed to do this? Like, can I still put it on this? And then I'm like, if I'm confident, then I'm just gonna do it. Like, nobody can tell me no. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody's wanting to see the application of makeup. I'm not sure if you're comfortable doing an application of eyeshadow or anything like that, but how come we don't embrace being natural, our natural beauty? That's interesting. I think that we do. I think that the reason why it's not embraced is because people aren't showing it as much. I think that, a lot of what we watch and ingest is really about an image or about playing around or about escaping, quite frankly. And I think that makeup allows you to escape. Like, there was this point when I literally I was going online and I was saying, hey, guys, give me any 6 colors and I'm going to do my makeup look that way because I would be bored, or especially during COVID, I was doing all sorts of crazy junk. Um, like, give me 6 colors and I'm going to show what I blended my eyeshadow to look like, right? So I think that a lot of the reason why is because a lot of people have a lot going on. And quite frankly, makeup gives you, for me, I'm just going to speak for myself and then I'll let Christina respond to this. For me, when I'm stressed, I go towards my creativity side. So I'll record myself singing, or I've seen Christina doing skits, which I love. I've done a couple of voiceover things, like when they have these voiceovers online or on TikTok or whatever. I do those just because I'm silly like that. But I like the creativity that it allows me to have, and not having to think. Sometimes you just need to do something. And when I'm putting my makeup on, I'm not really thinking, to be honest with you. I'm just having fun. I'm just like in a zone, and I'm not really thinking about it. But why do you think that is true? How come we don't embrace our being natural? Do you think we do?
I agree that it isn't shown a lot. These days we're watching a lot of TV, or you're on social media and you see like AI and people with celebrities with all their makeup, and you just think that's all you see. You don't see anything natural, so you don't really think, oh, natural is beautiful. You just think, oh, this is beautiful. This is what they're feeding me. This is beautiful. But like for myself, when I do my most makeup is usually when I'm playing. Like, I'm not going outside with all this makeup on. I might run to like Walmart, but that's like an appropriate Walmart look if you look a little crazy. um, but my goal lately has been to try to find like foundations and concealers that are more like skin like, so that you
Mm-hmm.
could still have something on, but it's not like cakey as if when I'm playing. Usually when I'm playing, also it's because I'm just trying to escape from all of the noise from the world, from everything. It's just kind of like a shut down me mode, and I can just play in my makeup and that's it. And then when I'm doing my actual makeup, I'm just doing it. I'm not thinking, oh, let me add 10 layers of mascara or make my eyebrows super thick. I'm just enhancing what I already have.
I love that. You mentioned something that I was gonna look at that. We're feeding into it. Enhancement. I think that oftentimes people don't recognize that that's generally what makeup was meant to be, was an enhancement of your natural beauty. And it's not to say you have to enhance it. Like, you're naturally beautiful how you are. But for people who wanted that little extra oomph, that creativity, back in the day, men wore makeup, right? That's a whole nother thing, right? If you want to look at like the history of it, because it was a societal thing and only rich people that could access it. So they kind of did that. But I think that, a lot of times people see your natural beauty as it is. It's funny. I've always loved doing make, and I don't do make, so don't ask me. That's Christina. That's her ministry, right? But the few times I've done makeup, older, I know sometimes I do on moms and my sisters. The thing I love about doing makeup is literally how you can make someone's face just look slightly different. It's just interesting to me because, again, it's the artistic aspect of doing it. But that being said, it's about having good tools. Brushes. I am a brush. I'm a nut, Christina. I like, oh my, there's brushes. Let me just just kind of like how you said you get some random things just because I love brushes. And sometimes I'm like, this brush was absolute trash. Like, I did not need it. Or like, I just got, I think I was given these brushes and they hold onto color so well that I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. I threw out the packaging. I don't know what brand these are. But do you find that there are some brushes that are really, like, what are if you were to say that people need a certain few brushes, what would they be?
I would say your like basic like foundation brush, powder brushes, and some thin like eyeshadow brushes. If you get like one of those, I know they sell them at like Walmart where they have like a basic pack that has like 5 brushes in it, you could be all set for a while. You don't need a ton of brushes, but we do
She's like, how
have
many like
a ton
this?
of brushes.
I have so many. Like, I mean, I've started to throw them out because, again, like, Stacey, you've had these brushes for like years. Like, let them go. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but I have noticed the difference. And again, it's me also rediscovering my skin as I age. But I've noticed the difference in application based on the brush that I may be using or not using. It definitely is different how my makeup goes on, and I've noticed that. So even if, like, you might find a brush that is cheap and you try it out and it doesn't really work that well because it's not holding on to the color, and you feel like you have to dip and dip and dip and dip into that. I've seen some people, and I don't know how you feel about this, put setting spray on their brush, to put on the eyeshadow. Have you tried that, or is there something that?
No. Maybe I'll have to have that as one of my try trends.
Yeah, I saw somebody doing it the other day, and they were like, my it helps my eyeshadow immediately to stick on and to stay. And I was like, that makes sense. Like, I can see why somebody would do that. Well, I see this conversation going on. Yes, don't be afraid to try makeup. It's not that serious. If you don't like it, wipe it off.
Yep.
If you don't like it, wipe it off. And I think that we can do what we want. I feel like oftentimes there's like somebody telling you like you have to stay in the lines, and I love how Christina at the beginning said you do not have to stay in the lines. Like, makeup is an art, and you can try things, and if it doesn't work for you, like the other day I saw I was looking at some of Christina's some of her work, and I was like, man, she had on these jewels, and I was like, I really want to try that. And it's funny because I can't remember this influencer that does this, but she oftentimes puts jewels on like her eyebrows, and I'm like, man, that looks so cool. But I'm like, I do not want to pull out the 3 hairs I have left in my so I don't know that I should do that. How long should you keep your beauty blender? Oh Lord, now you're really telling on me, Carol. Why? See, Like, you could have just stayed out the conversation because I have one right here that's fairly new, but yeah, it's already been packed in. Can you wash beauty blenders, or do you just have to throw them out? Because I feel like they
You
hold up on
can,
the side.
as long as you let them dry, like get all of the moisture out of them, and you let them dry really well. But I would only wash them like once.
Okay. Because I was like, there's so much, this it's porous. So there's no way. I'm like, there's probably all sorts of bacteria. Carol, at the end of the conversation. But no, I think that's true. So how long, so you think that, how long should you keep it? How many times should you, so you should, this is the question, I guess. Should you wash this after each application? Or can you use this more than once before washing it? And then, if so, when do you need to throw it out? When do you need to chuck it?
So like I don't know about you, but I have like a beauty blender for my
Yep.
foundation, a beauty blender for my concealer, and a beauty blender for my powder. So I have once I have to wash. I only will allow myself to wash them once. Maybe I'll go like 2 weeks with them, and then I'll wash it. And then after that time, I'm like, okay,
All
new
right.
pack, gotta go.
Man, Carol just telling all my business. Yeah, I agree. I agree. No, I think one of the things that I'm getting from this conversation is because I'm looking at your skin and I'm like, man, her skin looks so good. So I'm thinking to myself, man, I really need to think about that. Now, I know that your makeup is done. I'm just curious if you can show, if you were to put on eyeshadow, is there a way that you should be putting it on? So, for example, like, is there like a brush stroke that you need to be thinking about? Because some people say, you should do it this way, not pull it that way because of your skin and forming wrinkles. And so, what are your thoughts as far as like literally, do you hold the brush a specific way?
So
All that
I'll actually get a brush.
stuff. Cheryl said this is too much work.
So usually
Uh, she said,
when I'm
so your mother said, so keeping it a few years is a little too long.
get rid of your beauty
Lord,
blender. That goes back into the good skincare because if your beauty blender is a few years old, then
yeah. What are you putting on your skin? Oh, okay. So let me stop interrupting you. Go ahead.
so I just have like a regular foundation. I mean eyeshadow brush, but usually only hold it down here. I don't. Some people will hold it like a pencil and they'll just be like in their
Mm-hmm.
eye, but I usually like. I feel like the lighter you hold it, the more control you have with
Mm,
it. So always start on the outside, and then I'll just lightly like,
interesting.
and I do little swirl motions, and I
Mm-hmm.
only put a little bit of eyeshadow on it, and then I just, because you can always put more, but you can't
Mm-hmm.
take it off if you put too much.
Yeah.
So I always just like to like, and I'll just sit there in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
and blend and take as long as I want.
Wow. No, that's good advice. So even if you're doing like the inside corners, do you start like so? For example, if you're bringing your color from the eye, so let me take this off so you can see what I'm talking about. So you see how I have the color from here to here? Would you have
Mhm.
started here and then gone this way, or would you started this way and gone that way?
So if I did color on the inside of my eye, I would
Mm-hmm.
use like a lot of times I'll do like a light color on the inside to kind of contrast because
Yeah.
you put the darker colors on the outside, the lighter colors on the inside. But I'll use like a flat
Okay.
brush and just kind of pat the color
That's what I
to
did.
like
Okay.
half of my lid, and then I'll go in with like the
Okay.
swirling. But actually, what I've been doing a lot of is I'll do the darker colors on the outside first,
Ah,
and then I'll carve out my eye, like my eye shape with my concealer. I don't even add any eyeshadow there. I just carve it out, and then I'll like blend it so that like the dust of the
wow.
blend goes like that way, and
Yeah,
then I don't even use eyeshadow over here sometimes.
that's a really great tip. That means you have to be really particular about the concealer you have, though, too. You
And
can't
that's
get
why
it.
like the lightness
Hmm.
and being able to be in control is like key.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's an excellent tip. Let me see. what y'all are talking about in this chat. Yeah. Oh, Tiffany said yes, it is too much work. It's not too much work if you're just doing it to have fun. You know, if you're
Hmm.
making it serious, like, oh my gosh, I have this big event, and don't try something on the day of a big event.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
The last thing I'll ask you about is, what do you think about people getting facials, and you know, a lot of things people don't know is like, you know, obviously the day of a big event, don't get a facial, right? Get it several days before. But what do you think about them, and is there a benefit to it, or do you have to be mindful? What are your thoughts?
I think facials are good. I feel like they're not a necessity. You
Yeah.
can treat yourself, yes, but you can also do the same things with some good products at home. I
Mhm.
also dermaplane my own
You
face.
do?
So like yeah, so I
Wow, that's amazing. I'm too afraid.
I just feel like it helps my application, and I just have gotten like into doing it by myself. When I was younger, I shaved off half of my eyebrow, and my aunt taught me how to like fix it up, and then I just always fell in love with the little dermaplane thing. So then I just was like, I
Wow.
might as well. So as long as you have good products, like yes, a facial can help, and they have like the steamers and
Correct.
cool gadgets, like that's nice. But it's also can be really expensive. So
Yeah.
getting good products at home is also a plus.
Wow. This has been such an amazing, like, I feel like I could continue to talk for forever and ever, but we're kind of getting short on time. Couple of quick things that I want to say. First of all, I did drink my tea. You guys probably saw me drinking my tea. It was actually really good. It's basic, guys. It's English breakfast tea, so it's not that much. But try a different tea, and also if you have a tea that you would like for me to try, just kind of drop it in the chat and let me know. I am so happy, Christina, that you decided to do this. I think that, obviously to be able to hear from an expert, but also be able to support your brand, for me is important because that's part of why I'm doing this. I think that this journey for me has been an opportunity for me to heal in lots of ways because I talk about young Stacey, middle, kind of middle school, all the way up to the age I am now, right, which is near 50. And so it's been really helpful for me to like look back on what is the reason why. And when I think about makeup, a lot of the reason why is to escape. But then I had to give myself a little bit of grace and recognize that it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to escape life. I feel like escaping is part of like, because I like writing plays and I like, that's like a part of who I am, just that creativity. And so I think that it's important that people recognize that creativity is a good and a positive thing. So, Christina, thank you so, so much for being here
Thank
today.
you.
Christina, how can people find you and follow you?
I'm on Instagram at CHRILUXEBEAUTY. I'm on TikTok at CHRILUXEBEAUTY. You can follow me there.
Can I do a fashion tea time? Well, maybe I can. Let's chat about that. Tell me what you mean by that. And I may have a writer's tea time. So we'll talk about that as well. I'm so happy and so proud of you. Continue to grow your brand. I will fully support that. Please follow her on all. And for those of you who are not following me yet, please follow me on Sipping Tea, Sipping Tea on this platform, as well as my YouTube channel, which is Sipping Tea with Stacey T. And what I will say, and I end everyone with this: be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and please extend to yourself and to me a measure of grace. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you on the next Sipping Tea with Stacey T. Bye, everyone.
Bye.